lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we're back. Welcome in, Elite Domer Brad. Nice to see you. Shamando says D is better now that he detransitioned, says Shamando, Ballyho Shamando. That's funny. Vice City says, and we're back. Okay. Candace Owens. Candace Owens, I'm talking to you right now. Telepathy to telepathy. Tell us about Charlie Kirk.
All right, you guys. Happy Wednesday. I'd like to begin today's episode with a little bit of
What's up,
feedback
UFO Johnny?
For the deep state, the deep globalized state. All you guys had to do was to keep the cornucopia. We may have even let you rule over us forever. We may have never woken up to anything. That's my theory, okay? It was all well and good until you guys tried to convince us that Fruit of the Loom never had a cornucopia.
Yeah,
right?
That's bullshit.
There was one.
There was one.
Know that.
There was.
By the way, if you're watching this and you don't
Oh my God, I'm going to agree with Candace on like everything in this episode, I bet.
know that. I want nothing to do with you. You're in the wrong timeline. We are not in the same timeline.
Ballyho Knife, welcome
Today's
in.
going to be a very interesting episode. Definitely philosophical, meta, because I don't think I will ever get over the fact that Charlie Kirk knew that he was going to die young. And I am starting to believe that so did the agents that surrounded him throughout his entire life. Let's jump right back in.
Let's jump into it, Candace. Let's go. All right, what are we going to be getting into with this? We'll find out in a second.
Everybody's got a price.
It's true, everybody does have a price. Have you guys heard about this Rumble wallet? They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, sell, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin all in one place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet to directly tip content creators fast and without interference. I'd love that, by the way. This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics, it's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. Bam. Nailed it. $1.76. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take the $1.76. Back to Candace.
Go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Everyone in the chat right now saying, yup, it had a cornucopia. I knew you guys were my people. I want to start by
did have a
saying
cornucopia.
that the way that I feel, the way that I think a lot of you feel,
Oh,
way
great.
the
We're getting into
vibes
feelings.
that are surrounding us right now is that the deep state is in some sort of a panic, right?
What's up,
We've
Luke?
acknowledged that over and over again on the show. Something doesn't feel quite right. It feels almost like we are at the beginning of the end of a long satanic run. That's why, just so you guys know, despite the obviously sobering reality that the world is run by these people, I'm pretty optimistic every day. I can't explain it. I don't know why. Things are obviously coming apart, but like you got to
That's
things
right,
have to come apart
MFT.
before they can be put back together. And they're just getting sloppy. And if I could put it into a sentence, I would say that it's almost as if our awareness is the threat, right? Awareness, just our being conscious of what they are doing, somehow spells their doom, which is bringing me to wanting to discuss today, as I promised you, the CIA's Looking Glass Project. Now, we briefly touched upon this at the end of last episode.
Looking Glass is a fun project. It's what Men Who Stare at Goats is based on, and that was an actual program.
Obviously, I'm a conspiracy girly, and I'm thrilled that we get to dive a little bit deeper on this topic for those of you that don't know. The first thing that I want to remind you guys is exactly what I said at the top of the show. It is an absolute fact that Charlie Kirk thought that he was a time traveler. He told me he was a time traveler repeatedly. I showed you guys that text message exchange. I said to him in
Can we find that text message exchange where Mr. Kirk said that he rode in a DeLorean? What's up, Randolph? Welcome in.
That I didn't feel the same way and that I thought I was from another planet, that I was an alien my entire life. Just do not get it here. This planet is ghetto. That's how I feel. I don't understand it. The rules don't make sense. I think that's also why I like cats so much. I feel that they can relate to that. They think humanity is ghetto. They don't want to be around us. They don't like us. They know it's ghetto. It is ghetto here, right?
What kind of cats do you have?
Well, another bizarre fact is that back when Charlie and I were running around,
Valley-Ho Andy.
We met in 2017, top of 2018. So I would say, obviously, Turning Point was an organization, but it wasn't the organization. It wasn't this behemoth of an organization that it became. No, he had no real degree of fame. I think that's fair. But he was required to have security on him at all times. That was orchestrated. His security, Schaefer Security, was orchestrated by Bill Montgomery. He has since passed, the late Bill Montgomery, and he was from the military. He founded Turning Point USA with Charlie. Charlie wanted to go to West Point, and then instead started Turning Point USA when he was 18 years old. Thinking about that, the security, him texting saying, "I'm not allowed to go anywhere. I feel so important," I think was the exact message. That to me is objectively weird in retrospect. It wasn't weird at the time, it's weird now. And it makes me think that Charlie may have been marked since he was a child. We've discussed these GATE programs that they have in school. And I just think on the basis of what he told me, that when he was really young, they wanted to drug him, but his mother said no, and he was really grateful for that. And instead, they decided that they could send him to this X-Men school. That's the best way I can describe it. I would certainly, by the way, for you internet sleuths, I'd like to find out which school Charlie had to attend. So he was pulled out of the regular school he was attending, and he had to go to some special school for the gifted, like he was an X-Man. And I am of the opinion, it's an opinion, I'm allowed to have it, it's obviously not a fact, but I am of the opinion, based on the discussions I had with him, that he's been monitored since. That his test scores, whatever the score, every test they probably did on him, he was off the charts, and they wanted to make sure that he was being watched. That's my theory in general on all kids that are in extraordinary and GATE-type programs. Maybe we should be training our kids to get like an 85% on the test. At most, before the government agents are going to swoop in and go, who is this genius child, you know? And a lot of weird things used to happen to Charlie.
I love it already.
He would go on runs. I think I told you guys this.
I love
after sundown. And
Take
when
me
he was
there,
running,
Candance.
Street lights would go out. Like it was like he was in a burst of energy, like he was a lightning bolt or something. So to slow this down for you, there are, just in general, all of these inexplicable experiences that we have in life. And they try to make it weird for us to discuss them. Like just even being philosophical and thinking about these things for a long time, they don't want that. Deja vu is probably chief among them. We all have experienced deja vu. We are certain something happened, that we already did that, but it didn't actually happen. You're like, but I feel like it did. Oof, I just got a bad case of deja vu. Well, guess what? There's no official expert explanation for that. Sleep paralysis, for those of us who suffer that, I had some terrifying experiences before I knew what it was.
That has happened to me before.
They don't really give us a full explanation for that. Similar, also, another example of things that are inexplicable and maybe somehow related to deja vu. the story of how I met my husband. I've told it many times, how I got engaged 18 days later. No one believes me. They don't want to accept it, except maybe Charlie Kirk.
Smoke him if you got him.
For it. But I already knew George. That's how I describe it. I saw his face. I know that doesn't make sense, but it happened that way. I looked at my husband's face and I already knew him. It was like a sigh of relief. And yeah, there's other explicable events and things like Charlie telling me that he was going to die young. Anyway, today we are going to be showing you clips from a YouTube channel called Be Inspired. We're going to link it in the comments as well because they did such a fantastic job of diving into these phenomena and how they likely relate to another shady government CIA program, which came to be known as Project Looking Glass. This actually happened. These were whistleblowers that came out, like with all of these projects, people that are in the military, scientists coming out and saying, hey, government has this technology and they can peer into the future. I'm sorry, what? What does that mean?
Remote viewing.
Anyways, the narrator of this channel, who I could not find his name to save my life because there's multiple people that work this channel, but he begins by taking us back to the Y2K scare. You guys remember that? Of course, you remember the Y2K scare. I was actually scared. I was young. I was like,
Were you scared? Put a 1 inside the chat if you were scared of Y2K.
Because it's midnight and it's the year 2000 and they were just kind of pumping all this fear into us. Anyway, let's jump right into this clip.
Brad's never afraid of anything.
Y2K. In the final months of 1999, there was a global concern that computer systems would fail when the date switched to the year 2000. All the software used only 2 digits to record years, so 2 nils might
Oh
be
my
read
God,
as
have we watched this
1900,
documentary?
potentially disrupting banks,
Credit cards and ATMs may cease to function.
power grids, airlines,
Airplanes and trains may come to a halt.
governments and corporations spent over $300 billion updating systems. It was one of the largest coordinated tech efforts in history. People stocked food, withdrew cash, and prepared for the worst. But when midnight came, almost nothing happened. The systems held, the world moved on. Still, that global moment left an imprint. Some view it as a psychological turning point, the end of the analog age and the quiet beginning of a fully digital world. From that point on, life accelerated. Culture, communication, and consciousness shifted onto screens, fast, constant, and increasingly disconnected from physical time. Some researchers believe Y2K wasn't about a bug at all, but a kind of global psychological reset, a ritual of fear, distraction, and silence. The code may not have
That guy's got a bigger forehead than me.
may have been triggered. Our perception of time and reality. After something strange started happening online, people began noticing memories that didn't match reality. The most famous? The Berenstain Bears. Millions remember it as Berenstain with an E, but every book says Berenstain with an A, and that's just the beginning.
If you're running a simulation and you go back and you change some variables and you rerun the simulation, lots of little things could be different along the way, right? You have many different possible paths.
You have glitches in the matrix.
Exactly. You're now on this timeline, but you remember. You have like a deja vu, or you have like a weird memory.
Movie quotes, logos, product names, all different than we remember. Entire groups of people swearing something changed with no explanation. It became known as the Mandela effect, named after people who remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison years before he actually did. What could cause something like this?
Are you familiar with the Mandela effect? Yeah. Of course. Millions of people remember certain events that never happened. And so how do you explain that? As we go through our conscious progression, as we raise consciousness, the way we perceive the world, and therefore all that will exist in our world, will morph to that new resonance as a sympathetic resonance. So certain aspects of the old world will just no longer exist. And so we can still have a phantom memory of those experiences, whether it's like Jiffy peanut butter or Luke, I am your father, which he never said that, right? All these things like that literally just like fall out.
What do you mean he never said that? Darth Vader never said, Luke, I am your father?
Your new frequency, because everything in your world around you, including time itself, is retrocausal. The world around you that is no longer fitting your frequency will disintegrate and dissolve.
What did Vader say? By the way, this is a trippy thing that we're doing right now. We're watching a stream.
Okay, so I'm not trying to start a world war in the comment section today, but Pikachu had black at the end of his tail. Obviously, I don't know.
I don't
when they hit
remember.
delete on that button, but he definitely.
I don't know
had
about.
black
I don't
at
know
the end
anything
of his
about
tail.
Pikachu.
Some of these things just don't make any sense to me, and it's just amazing that we just sort of accept it and we just keep moving on. And when you start asking questions, they try to paint you with, no, don't ask the questions, just keep going on. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that there was no cornucopia. Anyways, this brings us obviously to the CIA's project Looking Glass. Essentially, there were these whistleblowers, like I told you, in the military.
A knife says Darth Vader said, Luke, build the dome. I like it.
And within the CIA apparatus that came forward to reveal that the deep state had a technology, which they stole, of course. Please do not miss the part that I keep explaining to you. These people are not smarter than you. They're just more evil. They steal, they plunder, and they steal things, and then they rewrite history and pretend that they were geniuses. Anyways, they have a knack for murder, they have a knack for theft, and this time, just like a lot of times before, they stole a device from the ancient
All right, one
Sumerian-
second. What did Darth Vader say to Luke?
One never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
Say what?
Yeah, that's what I've always thought. Oh, he didn't say the actual thing, Luke, I am your father. He just says, I am your father.
Civilization that's located in
Ronnie says, wait, spoiler alert. You're right, Ronnie. I should have said that.
Iraq. Very advanced civilization. They're obsessed also with Egyptian civilization, as we discussed yesterday. The Satanists kind of taking and reintroducing these things. First, they keep them to themselves. They hoard these things, and then they kind of give us certain aspects of technology as time goes on. So they steal this piece of technology, and they incorporate it into a computer, and suddenly they're apparently able to predict future outcomes. Just imagine the deep state
like
being
Polymarket.
able to look into a glass, so to speak. The Sumerian culture was known for their advancement in glass, and to see different outcomes. I mean, the amount of power that you would have, and then also fathom in your mind that the people that are Satanists have this power. Take a listen.
This is where things take a turn, because according to Bill Wood, a former Navy SEAL with high-level clearance, the US military
We've
once
seen
had
that
access to
guy
a device called Project Looking Glass, a technology that could supposedly
in many congressional
view potential
hearings.
future timelines.
The project was shut down because there was a problem when we approached 2012. The timelines converge on that point.
He's at the UFO hearings.
Know how string theory works and how the possibility of possibilities works and how making one choice over here doesn't necessarily mean that the other choice couldn't exist at the same time. But once you get your brain wrapped around this subject, you find out that at the end of 2012, in an easy way to put it, the choices that we make become less and less consequential to the future. And eventually we're pushed into this bottleneck of time, no matter which choice we make.
Okay, so is that certainly 2012 in your understanding?
It's well coincides with December 21st, 2012.
So at that point, all possibilities lead to the same
Timelines.
Rubicon.
All possible timelines lead to the same basic set of history in the future.
And after that, they shut it all down. Now ask yourself, why would a system like that be buried, and what exactly did they see? Because this isn't just about false memories or tech. It might explain why everything since 1999 feels frozen and artificial, like we're on rails in a version of reality that wasn't meant to last this long. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear what else Looking Glass may have revealed. So what exactly did they see with Looking Glass? According to multiple whistleblowers, including Bill Wood and other interviewed by Project Camelot, every time they ran the device, no matter what variables they changed, all future timelines converged to a single fixed point. That point, somewhere between 2012 and 2016. After that, the future became unpredictable. No more branching outcomes, just a wall.
Build the wall.
So it's super interesting that they couldn't see beyond 2012, or rather they could see beyond 2012, but maybe things became inevitable. That was
Wokepotamus says, but did they see the Epstein files?
backed up, by the way, by a lot of different things. Mayan civilization, the calendar, remember that whole scare? Why doesn't the calendar go beyond? So you arrive at this point and you wonder, what is this, right? Suddenly these people who are evil are no longer allowed or able to control outcomes, essentially. Or perhaps, so maybe they did see something beyond 2012, but no matter what they did, they couldn't change the outcome of that thing that they saw beyond 2012. So it wasn't so much the future couldn't be predicted, but rather that they couldn't change it, like something was coming. That's how it kind of feels to me. When I just examine everything that's going on, there is this panic, like evil is panicking right now, and they're making a lot of mistakes because they're no longer in control. And I would also add here that one of the things that I've noticed is that they're trying to turn us all, again, maybe this is their solution, where they're going, okay, what are we going to do? We can't change the outcome. Maybe we can just turn everybody into a computer program. Like they want us all to be the same. They seem to get really angry when we behave like humans. Like that's one of the things they're trying to triumph is our humanity. We've talked about this a lot with the Charlie Kirk story, the reaction, how we felt icky, but they were like, what's wrong with you? How dare you feel icky? How dare you not like this? Don't you know this is what he would want? It's like their inability to defeat our humanity is angering to them. Now, something that was crucial, which was revealed about Project Looking Glass, was that the people who were in the room while this device was being operated, their conscious thoughts impacted the device, okay? So just imagine this. What they were thinking in the moment was changing future outcomes. Thoughts influenced future outcomes. That piece is super relevant to what we're going to discuss. And obviously that's pretty reminiscent of one of the themes of The Matrix. I just am going to assume everybody's seen that movie. If not, you should watch it because it was way ahead of its time. And he is going to connect that dot.
Yeah, I think the both creators of The Matrix are now women.
Or take a listen.
So what exactly did Project Looking Glass revealed, and why was it quietly shut down? The people involved began noticing something strange. No matter what variables they used, the results kept showing the same future, a point where all possible timelines seemed to merge. That moment, somewhere between 2012 and 2016. After that, everything became unclear, like the future couldn't be read anymore. This brings us back to 1999. A year that might have marked more than just the turn of a century. It's also when The Matrix was released. At the time it was seen as just another sci-fi movie, but looking back it feels like something more.
You've been living in a dream world, Neo.
The film introduced a
You're telling me.
idea, that the world we experience might not be what it seems, that reality could be shaped or even simulated without us knowing. And once you start asking questions, things begin to change. That idea resonates deeply with what many have felt since the early 2000s. The time feels different, but the future doesn't feel open the way it once did. Almost like things are repeating themselves. The same cycles, the same events, showing up again and again. Some people even report seeing repeating numbers everywhere, like 1111, 222, 444, almost like little glitches or signals hidden in everyday life. And strangely enough, this idea of patterns repeating, of cycles you can't escape, lines up with what Looking Glass operators allegedly encountered. The sensation that the future was already written and that all paths lead to the same outcome. Fast forward to 2012, some whistleblowers claim that a confidential briefing took place where certain agencies acknowledged a shift, a kind of convergence in human potential. This document, released by the CIA, explores consciousness as something that can move through time, even outside of the physical world. It discusses remote viewing, timelines, and the nature of reality itself. Now, connect that to The Matrix, and the overlap becomes hard to ignore. Maybe it wasn't just a movie, maybe it was the first time the system gave us a glimpse behind the curtain. And if that's the case, what else have we been shown without realizing it?
Okay, a lot to unpack there. First, I'm going to say, just regarding the movie The Matrix, you should look into how even the script for The Matrix was stolen, allegedly. But to bring this back to my earlier point about all of these things that are happening or have happened.
5D Corey says, I keep seeing 17. You're telling me, 5D Corey.
That are seemingly inexplicable. it just lives inside of me.
I mean, honestly, Dome, this is stuff that we talk about all the time inside the Dome. We've definitely watched a we might have even watched this same documentary that Candace Owens is watching right now.
Charlie Kirk knew he was going to die. How
on a Friday night date night
that he was going to die young? How is that possible? How was he even able to describe it as this tragic
Andrew
event?
says 42. Well, Andrew, 42 is the meaning of life.
And how did he know?
Don't forget your towel.
How was he certain, by the way, as he said in those messages, that from the moment he signed onto the dotted line to begin Turning Point USA, he knew he was going to die. He knew his death was going to be related to Turning Point USA. That's not a coincidence. Okay, it is completely absurd to have people, I don't know, maybe just a coincidence. No, that's not a coincidence at all. Why did he know that I was going to defend him? Also, why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages,
show me.
He's a time traveler.
Show me
and he had
now.
to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything.
Sharon, sir, we got to find that text message that she's talking about. If she has shown people this before, I want to see that.
I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA in some way or another. At the very least, we could all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And Charlie died.
I do ask myself that every day.
Related to this organization. And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of this is one big unhappy coincidence. It's entirely plausible, I think, that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie
talking
beats
about her
his head
husband?
up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year when Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked. They freaked out. And their solution was, no, just kill him. Just kill him. We can't have this. This is not something that we are prepared to happen, that outcome of Charlie unleashed, so to speak. And ironically, that seems to be the very thing, his assassination, that catalyzed what they feared most, losing control of Charlie. That's exactly what happened, and they catalyzed that. So it seems to me that right now we're in the midst of this. They keep doing these things that only catalyze what they're trying to stop, what they're trying to prevent. For example, even unrelatedly, but the Brigitte Macron, they filed a lawsuit. We have so much power. What are we going to do to stop this thing?
I mean, I can see that she's a dude, right? I mean, I don't know where I'm at with Candance and Charlie Kirk, because I haven't really been paying attention much to it. I've only been paying attention to the drama of it. But this, oh yeah, totally a dude.
She's getting into the story, is getting to the heart of evil and how the world is run, to figure out that Brigitte is born a man. What are we going to do? We're going to file a lawsuit. A lawsuit filing was a mistake, obviously. It was globally consequential, right? They wanted to stop it, and yet they spread it. Catastrophic to their aims. The more pressure they exert toward control, the more they spin out of it. Another example, lock them down at home. Make them wear a mask, right? create COVID in a lab,
That
make everybody sick, force them
agree
to get
with
the
as well.
jab. Evil is really fun that way until it accidentally awakens the entire world to how fraudulent Big Pharma is. Like, is this now everyone's going, is this just a factory of poison? Do these people hate? Are they so evil? Have we just been giving our bodies over to quote unquote science? Now, going back to the Looking Glass and them shutting down this project and not being able to edit whatever it was, we obviously cannot know for certain what it is that they saw when they peered through into this Looking Glass. But I do have a general sense that they're trying to edit its inevitability with ill-guided lawfare and warfare. And what I think is that our collective awareness is a threat. I think everybody peeking their heads up is making them increasingly more frantic.
Well, then why wouldn't they just shut off the internet? Well, let's not give them any ideas, Mr. Rotella. We make a living off the internet.
Like they know we're barreling toward some foregone conclusion, and they have spent decades trying to stop that, trying to prevent that. And when I think about what it is, right, I just consider their general obsessions and their general triggers. They are positively obsessed with the Antichrist. I mean, like people like Peter Thiel, he's like going around giving interviews, asking about the Antichrist. That's kind of the entire.
We tried to find if there was any videos on Peter Thiel giving those talks. I think where did he give them in? Either LA or San Francisco. But man, we would have streamed the hell out of that.
Drift, by the way, of the AI world. When I say I look at these people, I don't like their eyes. Something disturbs me. They mock that, take me out of a clip. Oh my gosh, I don't care. I have spiritual discernment. Something about the entire AI movement feels wrong. And come on, what am I wrong? Am I wrong? Sam Altman, all of them.
Oh, they're just nerds.
No, you can trust us. It's like they want us all to become automated so that we can be more easily controlled. What they're going to do? Okay, we can't control the outcomes. Let's just control where we're at. Let's control every single person in the world and make everything AI so that if we want to, they won't discover history. We can just delete files entirely. Nobody will be reading books anymore. The kids will be stupid. We can just
the kids are getting pretty stupid.
An entire civilization with the push of a button. There'll be no more books. And maybe I could say this is 1A, but they also seem to be similarly obsessed with trying to make everyone turn against Christ. I mean, that push over the last couple of years, Christ is king, is hateful. You shouldn't even be saying that.
Rowdy, what's up, Rowdy? Welcome in. Rowdy says, with all due respect, I thought she was crazy until I just watched Stu Peters on Rumble. My God, he has evidence to back Candance up that will blow your fucking mind, says Rowdy. Ballyho Rowdy, welcome in. Nice to see you.
That's a weird triggering that no one expected. No one should say that. It's anti-Semitic, whatever. Producing reports about Christ is king. Is that not just a waste of money? Why did they do that? Can we just revisit that? Why did they do that? They produced a report and brought in doctors to assert why Christ is king is wrong. That's weird, guys. And that's a triggering, by the way, that has been going on for a long time. It's the very reason they set about removing the Bible from the classroom, creating Hollywood in general, which was supposed to mirror Babylonian culture, training us to worship stars.
Okay, I like that point. That's interesting. Worshiping stars, Hollywood stars, that's interesting. Maybe we can do... I don't think we've ever gotten into the beginning of Hollywood. Do you think that there's got to be some crazy conspiracy movies out like that? Friday night date nights tomorrow. You guys want to watch conspiracy movies on how Hollywood was created?
They wanted to establish
that sounds
this
good.
Neo-paganism. They also wanted to make it so that future generations would think atheism was cool. That was by and large successful. It was a period of time where I thought that atheism was cool. But why? Why this push? Well, I think the obvious answer is because they are certain, actually, that God is real. That's what they're fighting. They're fighting God at all times. They know
I want to
he's
watch
real,
this, but I just spilled iced tea.
That should be refreshing to you. Like, God's obviously real, or would they be spending all this time trying to convince us that he wasn't? Right? Do you spend all of your time trying to convince people that this is something is fiction? No, they're terrified of that. or they wouldn't, they're open Satanists, as we showed you guys yesterday. They're trying to foster a culture of demonic idolatry. Think about this. I lost a job in part for saying that pornography is a spiritual weapon against men and that we needed to look into the history of pornography. Huh? What that should signal to you is that their power relies on us being distracted, on us being focused on carnal desires, right? Entirely living of the flesh. Like Tim Dillon said, the amenities, the pool, the new restaurant. Oh, look, there's a new celebrity over here. Yeah, so the threat is us being aware that spiritual evil exists. That's what they're afraid of. It's why they insist on this constant stream of pornography, filthy music, all of it. Because if it is true, as it's been reported by various whistleblowers, that our thoughts could impact future events, then what would happen if we all started focusing on goodness, eternal goodness, God? Yeah, I think that's the very reason that all of these demons seem to be thrashing right now. And yeah, I just wanted to dive into that project because I think we're all sensing a panic and it's real, but I also want you to know that it's good. Now, that seems crazy. You're like, no, everybody's out of control. It feels like things are getting dangerous. Yeah, but it feels to me like it's the last squeals of a dying demon. And we're going to speak more about that as well as CERN and what they discovered. We have to totally revisit that was happening at CERN just after a brief message from our sponsors. All right, you guys, new research is revealing something absolutely heartbreaking. More than 7 million American women suffer severe, long-lasting emotional distress after an abortion. They have grief, flashbacks, and a quiet regret that often never goes away. Preborn sees this pain firsthand in the thousands of clinics that they support, but there is, in fact, hope, and it begins with something powerful. When a woman sees her baby on an ultrasound, everything changes. Her baby's chance at life doubles, and for just $28, you can sponsor that ultrasound, bringing a lifetime of blessings. This is what real healthcare should look like. Preborn stands on the front lines, providing free ultrasounds, compassionate counseling, and gospel-centered support to young mothers in crisis. They're saving babies, they're healing hearts, and they are making motherhood possible. If you believe, as I do, that every child matters and no woman should walk this road alone, then join me today. Sponsor an ultrasound. To donate, you just have to dial #250 and say the keyword baby, or you can visit preborn.com/Candance. Again, that's preborn.com/Candance. I also want to take a moment to tell you guys about PDS Debt, because whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and to craft a personalized plan that's designed just for you. There's no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, which is obviously in your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau.
Hi, everybody. What I miss? I missed the surge protector by like that much. We almost all went up into flames, Dome.
Okay, so modern science kind of being run by Satanists, so obvious.
Got it.
Again,
I believe that.
Let's go back.
I'm already there.
On the moon landing and the rituals that they were doing. It's always been this way, and they're creating it because they want you to worship science. And that their ultimate test to see if they had succeeded in that, I feel like it was COVID, right?
They did do a satanic. Oh well, I don't want to say satanic. They did do a Masonic ritual on the moon. When I was living in Austin, I went to the Freemason temple there a couple times, and it was actually the lodge that Neil Armstrong was a part of. Two of the astronauts that went to the moon were part of the Austin Lodge.
Aside, like they tried to make this a ritual, save lives. I mean,
pretty cool.
There was actually a really good article in the Spectator UK. Regarding how they tried to establish COVID to mirror a religion, the ritual of it, even having something you can wear, a mask to identify with one another. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Point being is that once you see that, you can't unsee it, that modern science is intentionally being created to conflict with God. And there are some really bizarre things that have happened, particularly I would say, regarding CERN. What do you actually know about CERN?
Oh, tell me about
bring
CERN.
Mark on to mansplain this. What CERN
Mark
is.
to mansplain CERN? I'll explain CERN to you, little lady. So here's what CERN does, my friends. It's somewhere. I want to say Sweden. That could not be true at all. But what it does is it's a very large tube that's like miles and miles long. And what it does is it takes two atoms and they speed it up to the speed of light, and then they make them collide, creating dark matter. What they're trying to do is reenact the Big Bang Theory.
We're involved in, and you guys kind of remember, we're trying to find the God particle. That was another push. Mark, jump on here and mansplain everything.
I'm happy to, and I just want to preface by saying,
how do they not have a mansplain transition? Mansplaining, he's gonna tell us the truth.
I am not a particle physicist, so I just use particle physics.
Florida Pat says, are you a Mason, Mr. Rotella? Technically, I'm a first-degree Mason, Florida Pats. When I was living in Seattle, I tried to join a law. I did join a lodge in Queen Anne. So I've been through the initiation ritual. I've always enjoyed Freemason books and stuff like that when I can find them at like used bookstores and stuff. You can find Mason books pretty easily at like nicer used bookstores. But then I moved away from Seattle. That's when I moved to Vegas. The lodge at Vegas was a lot different than the one in Seattle, so I kind of just stopped going.
It's recreationally. I'm a high school dropout. This is all on my own.
This is years ago.
CERN was basically established in 1954.
Probably 10, 12 years ago.
Particle physics. There's something called the standard model of particle physics to kind of explain how everything exists and what it's made out of. Are we going to get a shot at this guy? Big Bang theory of creation. And one of the missing pieces was, how do particles that don't have mass attain mass out of nothing? And so in 1964, a group of scientists theorized that there's something called a Higgs boson. One of the scientists was named Peter Higgs, I believe. And so the search was on to find this particle. And so that's why CERN created the Large Hadron Collider, which is based in Geneva, Switzerland, and is a 17-mile tunnel underground, up to 600 feet underground in some places, where they shoot subatomic particles at each other at a very high speed to try and break them apart to see what they're composed of. And so in 2012, they observed a reaction that's consistent with this particle that was theorized back in 1964, that some people were calling it the God particle, to explain how something can come from nothing and essentially try and erase God from the story of creation, to create a scientific explanation of it.
I like my explanation better.
They're trying to be God. This is like the next step for them. We're controlling humanity. We're controlling their minds. Like, what can we do? What's the next step? We need to become creators of things on Earth. That's all the way, by the way, you guys, part of my conspiracy, why I'm like, have 12 kids. It's because they want to even control birth. They want to control dying. Like, they're debating, oh, you should have, they always sell it as like, it's more freedom for you. No, it's more power for them. We're going to decide if you're allowed to be born. Everyone's going to eventually, in the future, need IVF, which puts them in a place of power. And then also, we're going to also tell you when you die, which is why they have now these pods, which is being debated.
You can find them around,
where's
Roddy,
the pods, the death pods?
If you search hard enough, you can find them.
Anyways, of course, the tunnel is underground. And it's interesting when you consider that they started searching for this particle when they realized, that's when the 70s is when they began this Looking Glass project, when they started, not the CIA's Looking Glass project, but when they first got this Sumerian technology hooked up with a computer. It's an interesting parallel, right? And I also wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about what happened with CERN, which I've always wondered about. It was a big WTF moment
CERN.
with these elites, and you might recall this
CERN content
happening
is great.
in 2016, but maybe you weren't awake yet. They quite literally got caught, and I think it was some worker that was walking around doing this nighttime ritual satanic ceremony gathered around the statue of Shiva. Interesting for those of you that are following our Becoming Brigitte series. In season 2, I went into Dionysus, the god of Amiens, which was from that town where weird things happen, and that's where both Brigitte and Emmanuel are from. Well, Shiva in the Hindu faith, if you look it up, it's this would be the nearest equivalent. Dionysus being like god of wine and revelry. Shiva would be the equivalent here. Anyway, they got caught literally in the middle of a satanic human sacrifice ritual. And I'm just going to read you this article verbatim because otherwise you won't believe me. Okay. This took place. CERN discovers satanic human sacrifice taking place.
You can just show the video. Sharon, sir, can we show the video?
At the Large Hadron Collider's grounds. Okay. A satanic human sacrifice, it reads, has been staged on the grounds of the European Organization for Nuclear Research, the home of the Large Hadron Collider. The footage shows which I'm going to show you guys, a cloaked group.
Okay, there we go.
Wearing long flowing black robes. One of them has on hiking boots underneath. They're seen walking around before a woman moves onto the floor and then is stabbed. But the footage, then the person who's recording it, you're going to see the drop and they're like, what the heck happened? And they are obviously scared. So when they got caught with this, I want you to know they come out and they say, oh, that was a prank. I'm sorry. It's a massive statue, as you're about to see. You're telling us that the leading scientists in the world decided to meet by the cloak of night to do a prank, and someone at the facility gave a statement and said the PR guy said they were taking their sense of humor too far by staging a satanic ritual. I'm sorry, is this an acceptable excuse? This is like when a pastor finds $300K behind a toilet. We're going to need a little bit more here. Is the woman still alive? We can't even tell if this was a fake stabbing in this video. The leading scientists of the world, and they admit, by the way, we're really concerned about security. We don't know how this video got out. It wasn't like this prank was intended for the world. Somebody who worked there recorded it, got it to a YouTuber who then published it. And their response was to say, that was a prank. Don't ask any more questions. Let's move on. And the media just backed him up. It was a prank. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at this ceremony, which, again, is taking place under a Hindu
We've
deity.
streamed this.
And the spokesperson confirmed it's real, and this person had no permission to record it, and there was obviously, therefore, had no permission to have it published. Take a look at this, and I'm going to have to talk through it in case some people are listening on audio, but you really should try to tap in and watch this on video as well. Okay, so it's a massive, massive statue. That's just to start. Are we bringing this in as a part of the prank? I don't know. There is a woman, there's a bunch of people that are in black robes, and some of them have hoods up, and then there's a woman that's wearing all white in the center of it, and they are now encircling this woman, and she's like laying flat on the floor as somebody is circling around her. I think he might be holding some fire, and then it looks like she gets stabbed. I'd like to know where that woman is today. If this was a prank, you then hear heavy breathing, and you hear a guy saying F, 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 F.
Has Bohemian Grove vibes.
We didn't think it was a prank, and we just moved on. We just absolutely moved on from that, which is incredible. It's incredible to consider that as a society, we have been so distracted that we were like, oh yeah, I guess that's fine. It was just a prank or whatever. Anyways, like I said, it feels like evil is becoming more radical, more obvious, and more noticeable to most of us who had never considered that any of this was possible. And a part of that is just recognizing how fake the media is. And this brings me to Daily Wire, unhinged. I don't even know what to say. They have dropped another video that kind of, if I'm being honest, feels like a laced threat. They are mocking Egyptian planes, but they have put in a voiceover, again, dropped on my old socials. So using my face to attack me in a really strange way by suggesting that they are following my every move and my every personal decision.
Deport Daily Wire says
they will be watching me.
So wait. Daily Wire still owns the rights to her show, so they can just put out any videos that they want?
Oh, I'm going to let you watch the video that they dropped on my socials.
Okay.
You should be obsessed with traveling. Not just the destination, but the experience of getting there. When you travel with us, you'll feel warm, you'll feel welcome, and you'll feel watched, because every seed comes with the peace of mind of knowing someone is following you with 2 planes. This is what you can expect when you fly with At Egyptian Air, we definitely never mix up our time zones, flight numbers, or flight times. We know every journey is your personal business. After all, your personal business is our business, is our motto. Egyptian Air, wherever you travel,
We will follow.
Wow.
And so they've colored the letters there on the text for watched, followed, we will follow. I don't even know what to say to that. Like I told you, they're unhinged. It's been going on, by the way. It's like gang stalking. It's just been going on for 2 years consistently behind the scenes. Now they're just kind of gone mass down and people are seeing it in front of the scenes. Like, I just am not allowed to be fired from that company. And I don't know what to really say or do about that other than just to keep publicizing that I find their behavior to be alarming. It's discomforting. And there's something about this that feels very dangerous to me. And that feels like a warning, as many people said, a threat, a laced threat.
It definitely doesn't help. I mean, it definitely doesn't help that you're making videos like that while Candace Owens is talking about this other stuff. It doesn't help anything. Elidimmer Eric says, CERN is a portal to hell. They have allowed more demonic entities to enter our
weird,
world,
devilish
says Eric.
voice at the end, we will follow you, and then having a plane then burst into flames. It's not a joke. They don't mean it to be a joke at all. So yeah, there you go. We'll just put that out there. Lastly, before I get to some of your comments, I just wanted to also, Mike Pompeo, former U.S. Secretary of State, Tucker had exposed that during his time at the CIA, I believe it was Mike Pompeo. Am I correct, you guys, just in my ear, that he tried to have...
She's got someone in her ear?
What's his face? Murdered?
Why the fuck do you have someone in your ear when you're doing a podcast?
Julian Assange. It was Pompeo, right? Okay, you fact checked that before. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Tucker had exposed that. I think it was Mike Pompeo. I will correct that momentarily if I'm wrong. But anyways, they are just openly discussing how they need to edit history books.
I'm actually being told in my ear right now that I have someone in my ear during these streams. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he discussed options to take out Assange just to make sure we're above bar there. Anyways, he is sitting down and discussing how in the future they're just going to have to edit out of textbooks for kids that are in school the part about how they murdered tens and thousands of Palestinian women and children and innocent men because it's just not good for their aims. Here's him in his own words. Take a listen.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure 2 things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They can't. The history.
Whoa. Whoa.
I
what?
Be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought. But the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel. The aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas. And we need to make sure that the history books reflect that. And that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our grandchildren, about it in a way that is serious and thoughtful and complete and moral.
I just love it. They started applauding. They were just like, yep, gotta keep
that
that's
part
weird.
Out
of the textbooks about
that's weird.
The innocent Palestinians. He's like, we're on camera. We just need to make sure the focus is just on the Israelis, because that matters more to us and the CIA. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Everyone's just gone mask down, I think, is what I'd like to say about that. In conclusion, we will throw it to some of our sponsors, then I'm going to get into some of your comments. All right, you guys, there are a lot of brands that look good on the surface, but once you dig deeper and start paying attention...
Well, damn, I missed most of that because the deep state, through mind control and weather manipulation, made me spill my iced tea. And it was a good mug of iced tea, too. It was a good one. Hab says, I don't trust anyone that would hire a guy like Pompeo. Sharon here says, she always leaves you hanging. And CERN, that's right, it was CERN, Sedan. It was CERN. Okay, we're coming back to politics, everybody. When we return from this last musical break, we got today's White House press conference. We'll be right back.